what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening and welcome. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. Bringing you the news, I'm Anuradhapura.
And I'm Fernando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Water cannons fired on university students who oppose private medical colleges. Non-academic staff strike disrupts university activities once more. Sri Lanka drops further in the World Press Freedom Index. Sirasa records a 2-hour statement with CIT over Easter attacks. Cooking gas prices reduced from midnight.
Starting off with news here at home, police fired water cannons opposite the Vihara Park in Colombo to disperse a protest organized by the Medical Faculty Students Action Committee against private medical colleges.
The protest march by Medical Faculty Students Action Committee commenced from opposite the Vihara Park. The crux of the protest march was against private medical colleges.
At present, the government has put forth a cabinet proposal to facilitate the acquisition of a medical degree through the Kothalavala University in exchange for a fee. Simultaneously, the KDU has publicized its readiness to confer medical degrees for a sum of 12.5 million rupees and applications currently being accepted. As a student movement, we vehemently urge the government to revoke this initiative without delay. Moreover, we are aware that the government is on the verge of presenting both a policy framework for public institutions and a national education policy framework to the Parliament. It is evident that through this endeavour, the government is poised to dismantle free education in our nation.
At the onset, Sri Lanka police announced that the protest cannot take place. However, as the university students disregarded the announcement, water cannons were fired. The protesting students dispersed later on.
A silent protest took place opposite the Colombo National Hospital, urging the arrest of the masterminds responsible for the controversial human immunoglobulin procurement. Health and civil organizations engaged in the protest.
Even though Minister Keheli Rambukwella has departed and a new minister has assumed office, and despite the turnover in secretaries, the enduring presence of counterfeit suppliers, certain pharmaceutical companies, bureaucratic hurdles and entrenched mafia networks within the Ministry of Health persist unabated. We urge the President to promptly establish a presidential commission endowed with legal authority to address the myriad issues afflicting the Ministry of Health. Should the ministry find itself unable to fulfill its duties, exercise decisive decision-making, provide effective leadership to subordinates, or maintain control without a firm backbone, we implore the current health administration to place it directly under the President's purview. Transform this ministry into one that commands trust and reliability among the populace.
The university non-academic staff continued their strike for the second day today. Meanwhile, the University Executive Officers Association said that it has decided to join the non-academic staff strike from today.
University non-academic staff launched a continuous strike from 12 noon yesterday. They cited the 15% salary cut and non-increment of monthly allowances as reasons for their strike. This has directly hindered the academic activities of universities.
They are critical in all academic activities, registering for exams and the exam process. If they are on strike, that directly hinders all these activities. They are essential for the university system. If not, the university students' education will delay even further. We held discussions for 8 years. To date, we have not been given a viable solution. In addition to that, the allowance of the academic staff has been increased. Our allowance has not been increased in proportion to that, but no monthly allowance increment has been done till now.
The University of Peradeniya was inactive today. Trade unions say that the sole responsibility of the academic downfall of the university must be borne by the subject minister and the government.
The minister continuously said in 2022 that he will provide a solution for this issue, but he continued to ignore this issue and postpone the solution. As a result, the entire state university system has crippled.
Non-academic staff members of many universities, including Rajarat University and Northwestern University, had also organized protests. The Minister of Education also expressed his views about the strike.
The matter related to the protest is an 8-year-old matter. The other one is the monthly compensation matter. I have submitted a memorandum to the cabinet regarding both of those matters, and it is scheduled to be taken up next week. We also issued a press release. There are so many trade unions which are trade unions based on political objectives. Even if you give them everything, they will not step away from those strikes. I don't know how it will be done after a government of theirs comes. I have informed them that I have done my part.
In honor of World Press Freedom Day, a program organized by the Free Media Movement took place at the Sri Lanka Press Institute auditorium.
The significant lies in acknowledging the targeted attacks on media entities. What's more critical and concerning is the stagnation or outright halt in the dispensation of justice for these offences. Despite Sri Lankan legal provisions denying impunity to those accused of crimes, perpetrators enjoy illegal immunity for their actions against journalists and media establishments. Consequently, justice eludes both the victims and their families in these cases. Rather than resorting to direct confrontation such as killings and assaults, efforts are underway to enact laws that would effectively silence societal voices. In such a climate, Sri Lanka's media community is compelled to mark World Press Freedom Day by transcending the global theme.
ගෝලීය ජනමාධ්‍ය නිදහස දිනය ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ජනමාධ්‍ය සමාජයට සමරන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අර ගෝලීය තේමාවෙන් එහාට ගිහිල්ලා.
Journalist Nimal delivered the keynote address.
Last year, Sri Lanka held the 135th position out of 180 countries in the World Press Freedom Index for 2023. This year, we have regrettably slipped further to 150th place. The right to express oneself is widely acknowledged as the cornerstone of all human rights. Democracy and justice, in turn, are intricately woven with the fabric of press freedom. This universal consensus underscores the pivotal role of free expression in safeguarding our liberties. Why emphasize this point? The crux lies in the profound ramifications. Without the unfettered ability to voice opinions and ideas, our other rights lose their significance. This deprivation robs us of the means to voice grievances, engage in dialogue and seek recourse when our rights are infringed upon. When viewed through this lens, the freedom of the press or the broader right to expression assumes paramount importance. Media organizations and journalists serve as the vanguards of this right within society. Consequently, the extent to which they can operate freely directly influences the breadth of our press freedom and expression rights. Thus, impediments to press freedom transcend mere constraints on journalism, while they encompass broader societal hindrances that impact the populace and their collective rights.
The Free Media Movement unveiled a comprehensive handbook on journalist protection. This resource equips journalists with the essential knowledge and strategies to navigate the challenges they encounter while reporting.
Today, the 3rd of May, is World Press Freedom Day. The theme for 2024 is A Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of the Environmental Crisis.
With cameras ruling, journalists persist amidst tear gas, committed to justice. Despite the onslaught of batons and bullets, journalists champion the marginalized. Journalists never compromise integrity for monetary gain in acts of fraud, corruption, and theft. They are the guardians of humanity and democracy and transcend religious and national boundaries. Even amid the peril to their lives, they continue to discharge their duties in places like the Gaza Strip, Tehran, and Tel Aviv. In Sri Lanka, reporters and journalists across all newsrooms are committed to their task. It was in December 1993 that the UN General Assembly, under the recommendation of the UNESCO General Conference, revealed May 3rd as an observatory date for World Press Freedom. This is in memory of Guillermo Cano, an assassinated Colombian journalist. Guillermo Cano was slain in front of his newspaper office in 1986. Similar to many nations, journalists in Sri Lanka have encountered numerous challenges. Over recent decades, a significant number of Sri Lankan journalists have fallen victim to mysterious assassinations, such as our colleague Lasantha Wickrematunge. Others, like Pragit Egnaligoda, remain missing. Journalists such as Kidnoya and Puddala Jayanta have endured physical and psychological abuse, while many have been forced to flee the country. Media outlets like Sunday Leader, Siyatha and Udayan have faced attacks, some resulting in arson. Who are the perpetrators behind the killings, disappearances, and attacks on journalists? The quest for truth remains unfulfilled. Justice unserved. Such assaults infringe upon the fundamental freedom of the press. Today, let us reflect on one crucial reality. Truth inevitably shall triumph. The suppression of truth is futile.
The Anuradhapura District Farmers' Conference of the Maubima Janata Party was held in Rajangana under the auspices of the party leader Dilip Jayaveda.
The frontline leaders of the party were also present for the conference.
I don't think we need a society where farmers suffer. How can you get the happiness you never saw and never got in your life in this form of agriculture? We have a program that goes beyond the traditional framework. We will definitely tell you about how your life in agriculture will change in that program. A program that turns the farmer into an entrepreneur, which will take the agricultural industry towards agro-entrepreneurship.
Newsfirst with the people.
Wednesday night's events at the Bandar Nayaka International Airport have ignited a storm of conversation across social media platforms, but within our borders and beyond. As the digital grapevine buzzes with speculation today, we delve into the matter once more.
In 2023, the Cabinet of Ministers made a decision to enter into an agreement to outsource the visa issuance process to third party. Enter BFS Global, a foreign company now responsible for handling visa issuance on behalf of Sri Lanka. Since the 16th of April, BFS Global has been actively involved in visa issuance activities. The recent changes have impacted the cost structure as well. The online visa fee, previously set at $52 has now been increased to $75. Additionally, a convenience fee of $18.05 and a facility fee of $7.27 have been introduced. Consequently, the total visa fee now stands at $100.77. On Wednesday night, a notable incident unfolded at the visa issuing point. It was triggered by the rejection of a visa application by an individual who subsequently engaged in an intense conversation. The situation escalated, leading to heightened tension. In response to this heated scenario, BFS Global decided to withdraw from visa issuance activities. As a result, immigration officials reverted to issuing visas at the previous rates. The Sri Lankan government has entrusted the issuance of visas to foreigners arriving under the on-arrival system to a private company. This decision was ratified by the Cabinet. The Department of Government Information issued a stern statement warning that any challenges to this Cabinet decision would be met with appropriate action. This morning, the Citizens' Power Against Bribery, Waste and Corruption took to the streets, staging a protest in front of the Immigration Department. Their demonstration centered on the contentious issuance of online visas and on-arrival visas to a private company. They demand that the individuals responsible for this incident should be held accountable without delay.
සත්‍යක මොකද්ද මේක පාලකයන් සහ කවුද මේකට බලය දුන්නේ අපි ඉදිරියේදී මේක අධිකරණ ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයකට යන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
These are the comments made by Sri Lanka's Tourism Minister Harin Fernando.
This is now something under my purview. Minister Tiranalas will address the media on Monday and is prepared to discuss immigration matters. He is currently overseas. My role here is one of shared responsibility. It's important to note that funds from visa fees do not contribute to a consolidated immigration fund. As for the airport incident, I'd rather not delve into that discussion. However, it's worth noting that there was a delay of approximately 15 minutes, causing a backlog in the queue. This delay escalated into a wait time of 2.5 to 3 hours for passport processing. Is this an isolated incident or a flaw in a system implemented by 67 nations worldwide? The decision to engage an unfamiliar visa processing company raises concerns, although I am not directly involved in that matter. Nonetheless, I did inquire with the President about the timing of this decision, especially considering the upcoming presidential election. It remains uncertain whether there are any connections with the mentioned company and commissions. As investigative journalists, it's imperative to explore any potential links as we lack clarity on this matter. Ideally, a delay of 3 months would have provided more preparation time, perhaps aligning with the start of the new fiscal year. If there are issues with the VFS system, the Immigration Department should be well versed and equipped to address them.
Aviation Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva addressed the matter during an event in Balimada.
The mass media recently highlighted an incident at the Immigration and Immigration Control section of the airport. However, it's important to clarify that this falls outside my jurisdiction. The Ministry of Public Security oversees visa issuance and our immigration officers handle these matters. We regret the occurrence of the incident and trust that the Department of Immigration and Immigration will glean insights from it and implement necessary measures.
Newsfirst reached out to Vyani Gunathilaka, the Secretary of the Ministry of Public Security, to seek clarification regarding the recent incident on Thursday. According to Gunathilaka, a technical glitch caused the temporary suspension of the on-arrival visa issuance process for the foreigners the previous night. Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva says that a ferry service between Sri Lanka and India will be launched on the 13th. The minister says that India has provided $67 million to develop the Kankasanture harbour.
Today the cost to go to Buddha Gaya is high. Therefore we have obtained cabinet approval and begun construction to develop the Talaimana jetty and launch a ferry service between Talaimana and Rameshwaram. We believe that this will enable Sri Lankans to go to Buddha Gaya via train through Dhanushkodi at a lower cost.
The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation has formulated plans for the development of the port of Galle into a tourist port. The plans entail the construction of two backwaters measuring 850 meters and 150 meters respectively. Additionally, the harbour basin will be dredged to a depth of 12.05 meters and a new passenger terminal will be built. To address environmental and wildlife concerns associated with these constructions, a special meeting was convened by the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala Silva, and with the participation of the Minister of Wildlife, Forest Resources Conservation and Irrigation Pavitra Vanya Rachi and the Health Minister Ramesh Pathirana. The Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation pointed out that delays in the construction at the port of Galle were due to ineffective measures in addressing environmental and wildlife issues. It was proposed that the Department of Wildlife submit an environmental impact assessment report within 1 week. Furthermore, the Minister instructed officials at the Sri Lanka Ports Authority to call for requests of interest from both local and foreign investors interested in contributing to the development project based on the aforementioned report. The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation underscores that a total of $200 million will be allocated by SLPA for the development program at the port of Galle.
The Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka during a visit to Sampur commented on the proposed solar power plant.
The proposed solar power plant through a partnership between National Thermal Power Corporation of India and the Ceylon Electricity Board will be constructed. The first phase of the plant is expected to be about 50 megawatt. This is a very long-standing project for which currently both the governments are discussing to finalize the various parameters, and we hope to start constructing this plant at the earliest. So the purpose of the visit is to just see the site and the status, and also to underline our commitment that we would like to complete this project at the earliest for the benefit of the people of Sri Lanka.
When's the election?
Leader of the Freedom People's Congress, Dala Salaha Peruma, made a revelation today on an attempt of the government to carry out election propaganda while abusing government mechanisms.
මෙන්න මේ චක්‍රලේඛය. මේ චක්‍රලේඛය නිකුත් කරන්නේ ජනාධිපති ලේකම් කාර්යාලයෙන්. නිකුත් කරන දිනය
The circular was issued by the Presidential Secretariat on the 29th of April. It is regarding the appointment of community advisory committees for local government jurisdictions. It says that there should be an allocation of 10 million rupees for every jurisdiction to carry out emergency developments. It also says that many government projects should be carried out through these committees. Another point mentioned in the circular is that district secretaries and divisional secretaries should be able to coordinate this smoothly. What is happening here? We saw a group of provincial representatives meet the President about 8 days ago and request that the rice distribution responsibility be given to them. This is a shameful situation. This is the story of Dinesh Gunawardena. All the harvest reaped will be consumed by elephants in one night. Currently, there is an election law in place. The Election Commission informs all the regional coordination committees not to name anyone who handed in their nominations for the last provincial council election. What the regional coordination committees are now doing is giving the right to make decisions on public spending to those linked to the political parties of their favour. The power is vested in the governor. The governor is the president's representative. The appointment of those who have handed in nominations to the committees challenges the judiciary. This circular is inaccurate. It directly violates democracy. The Election Commission cannot slip away from its responsibilities. If 10 million rupees is spent on each jurisdiction, the expenditure on 341 jurisdictions will be 3,410 million rupees. These funds can be used to conduct the election. The provincial council elections can be held using these funds.
දැන් හිතන්න මිලියන 10 ගානේ කොට්ටාසයකට අවම වශයෙන් පළාත් පාලන ආයතන 341කට වියදම් කරනවා මිලියන 3041ක්. මේ මුදල් වලින් පුළුවන් මැතිවරණය තියන්න. එහෙනම් හොඳම විසඳුම දැන් සල්ලි තියනවා පළාත් පාලන මැතිවරණය තියන්න.
Parliamentarian Nimala spoke about the announcement made by the President's office regarding maintaining a new structure called Community Advisory Committees in local government areas.
A village will have development officials, Grama Niladhari officers in charge of social benefits and other advisors. Higher in the hierarchy, there are divisional secretaries, additional divisional secretaries and subject officials allocated to each division. This process of departing from the current streamlined process through this cabinet paper can be seen as an action that is motivated by the upcoming elections. This is a political act. We do not know whether the government officials will allow this to happen. There can come a situation where people may raise their voice if a certain group is given special treatment in the village. The government is trying to increase the people's displeasure by not conducting these matters in a fair manner. Some has misled the president. They are trying to put him in trouble.
මේක ජනාධිපතිතුමාට කවුරු හරි දීපු වැරදි උපදේශයක්ද කියලා මම මේ කල්පනා කරන්නේ එතුමාව අමාරුවේ දාන්න.
Wins the election.
What is the invitation that was extended by the president to other parties on May Day?
I
think we celebrated the May Day separately for the last time. Now we need to unite as one and work towards the betterment of the country. That was the President's invitation. The President invited all the parties to act in agreement with national policy. The President said that in order to become a powerhouse in the Asian region, we must unite under one national policy. He extended an invite to all parties for that cause. Let's see if that invite will bear any fruit by the end of the month.
මම හිතන්නේ විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ හැටියට දැනට සමාජයේ පිළි අරගෙන තියෙන ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ. ඉතින් විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයක් වෙන්න බෑ ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂ කොටසකට. ජාතික එකගතාවයක් තියෙන සෑම කටයුත්තකදීම සියලු දේශපාලන පක්ෂවල සහයෝගය ලැබේ.
Wins the election.
Parliamentarian Nimal says that a new alliance will be formed and a presidential candidate will be nominated by the end of May.
We have no intention of supporting these harmful policies of the incumbent president. We reject all of it. We do not think his policies and programs will benefit the country. We will build a new alliance in the future. We will nominate a presidential candidate through this new alliance in May.
The Young Lawyers Association convened a media briefing.
It appears to be a transgression of legal norms when individuals under arrest are subject to lethal force as a form of punishment or during investigative procedures, potentially involving the misuse of authority. Such circumstances warrant careful avoidance. It is imperative that we shift the discourse towards addressing the root causes that contribute to the emergence of a criminal behavior. Presently, we find ourselves amidst a societal framework conducive to the breeding of criminality, shaped by economic hardships and exacerbated by social social disparities. Within this context, there is a narrative that seemingly condones the use of lethal means against these individuals. When the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law is disregarded and authorities are urged to resort to force, it constitutes a blatant disregard for constitutional principles. In light of such actions, one must question the suitability of individuals holding ministerial positions. Ministers advocating for the abandonment of constitutional values undermine the very foundation of the nation's governance. Are they not, in essence, challenging the authority of people?
Leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, says that everyone should stand for media freedom.
On days like today, it is imperative to advocate for media freedom. Media freedom ensures that people exercise their democratic right to access information in a free and independent society. Thus, we unequivocally support media freedom. Likewise, we urge the media to disseminate truth to the public. The obligation to report information backed by credible evidence rests with the media industry, and as responsible citizens, we refrain from dictating how this duty should be fulfilled.
The opposition leader said this during the 170th phase of the Sakvila program, where a smart classroom worth 1 million rupees was given to the Gampaha Mirigama Aligarh National School today.
Former President Siripala Sirasena was at the CID once again today.
Former President Siripala Sirasena stepped once more into the Criminal Investigation Department to provide a statement over his recent comments on Easter Sunday terror attacks. The former president reported to the CID at 10 a.m. and provided a statement for approximately 2 hours. Sirasena had already provided a statement to the CID over the same matter before.
Bodivale Suresh, senior advisor to the President and Member of Parliament, announced at a media briefing that plantation workers' payments of 1,700 rupees for the month of May will be paid on the 10th of June.
A legal notice regarding plantation worker salaries has been gazetted by the government. If issued on the night of April 30th, it should be implemented from 1st of May. If the daily wage exceeds rupees 1,700, the difference should have already been paid. The additional rupees 80 should also have been included. Trade unions, servicemen and plantation workers should unite and be cautious regarding the rupees 1,350. The rupees 350 special allowance is separate from the government employee's salary. If income tax regulations allow, it should be paid. Over time, special allowances are typically incorporated into the base salary.
The daily allowance is 1,300 rupees. An additional allowance of 350 rupees may be granted based on specific criteria. A total payment of 1,700 rupees has been made. However, there are restrictions on how the daily salary is divided. These restrictions vary by estate. Forfeited tea leaves may also be included in the payment. The workers have been given a 15-day window to discuss and resolve this issue through negotiation. We invite them to attend a discussion to address these concerns. If you are unable to manage the estate worker situation yourself, delegating the task to someone who can is an option.
Effective midnight, LP gas prices will witness a reduction.
The price of a 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder will be reduced by 175 rupees, standing at 3,940 rupees from its previous price of 4,115 rupees. Similarly, the price of 5 kilogram gas cylinders will be reduced by 70 rupees and will be priced at 1,582 rupees. Furthermore, the price of a 2.3 kilogram gas cylinder will be reduced by 32 rupees, bringing its new price to 740 rupees.
We hold some optimism that this decline in prices will persist. As Litrogas, we have diligently procured the necessary gas reserves through the year's end. We are well positioned to distribute gas stocks seamlessly, ensuring no shortages until December.
At the same time, the cost of a 12.5 kilogram LOLC LPG cylinder has been slashed by 275 rupees, now standing at 3,840 rupees, down from its previous price of 4,115 rupees. Similarly, the price of a 5 kilogram gas cylinder has been decreased by 110 rupees, now priced at 1,542 rupees.
There has been a notable decrease in gas prices on the global market from April to May. Additionally, the value of the rupee has strengthened against the dollar. In light of these developments, LOLC Gas has chosen to implement a significant price reduction effective from midnight today. Should prices continue to decrease in the future, rest assured, we will pass on the savings to our customers.
The Newsfirst Finance Report is up next.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
Sri Lanka has discussed the progress achieved in debt restructuring process with the United States. State Finance Minister Shehan Sema held a bilateral engagement with Robert Caproth, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the US Treasury, during the ADB annual meeting in Georgia. He said the progress achieved in debt restructuring process was discussed at length. Robert Caproth had assured full support of the United States of America to Sri Lanka and pointed out the importance of continuation with the reforms that will enable a stable economy and avoid any future crisis. The deficit in the merchandise trade account narrowed to $369 million in March 2024 from $412 million recorded in March 2023, primarily due to a higher increase in exports than the increase in imports. However, it widened compared to February 2024 of $319 million. Meanwhile, the cumulative deficit in the trade account during January to March 2024 was higher at $1,229 million than the deficit recorded over the same period in 2023 of $896 million. Earnings from merchandise exports increased by 9.8% to $1,139 million in March 2024 compared to $1,037 million in March 2023. Expenditure on merchandise imports recorded an increase of 4% to $1,508 million in March 2024 compared to $1,450 million in March 2023. Sri Lanka concluded its chairmanship of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, also known as SAARC Development Fund. Sri Lanka's leadership of the SAARC Development Fund was formally handed over at the organization's 7th Governing Council meeting held in Georgia. State Minister of Finance Shehan Sema posting on X, formerly known as Twitter, expressed gratitude to member states for their continued support and cooperation during Sri Lanka's chairmanship to fulfill and further advancement of the goals and objectives of the SAARC Development Fund. The chairmanship was passed on to Bangladesh's Minister of Finance Abul Hassan Mahmood Ali.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
Day 5 of the third phase of the LOLC Davia program, which is being carried out for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation, got underway yesterday.
Yesterday's program was centered around the Denuvara and Gampal education zones in the Kandy district. Under the Divisavia program, exercise books and stationery equipment required for a year are distributed free of charge to government schools with less than 150 students. Accordingly, school bags and stationery equipment were donated to students of Katakumbara Kanishta Vidyalaya, Ilukwatta Muslim Vidyalaya, Giragama Kanishta Vidyalaya, Varyagala Demala Vidyalaya, Yogaletram Demala Vidyalaya and Palle Deltota Kanishta Vidyalaya. The LOLC Divisavia program continues to forge ahead for the future generation of Sri Lanka.
Another Boeing whistleblower has died, making it the second in 2 months. Both raised concerns about the Boeing 737 MAX and have died unexpectedly, casting a spotlight on potential safety issues and the treatment of those who report them.
A second Boeing whistleblower has died after a sudden illness. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor at Spirit Aerosystems, went public with claims that the company's leadership ignored manufacturing defects in Boeing 737 MAX Spirit Aerosystems is a Boeing supplier. Dean, aged 45, had an active lifestyle and was believed to be in good health prior to his sudden death on Tuesday following the onset of a fast-moving infection. He was stricken with influenza B and MRSA and developed pneumonia, according to Fox 59. He spent 2 weeks in critical condition before he died on Tuesday in Oklahoma. The whistleblower's death is the latest in a string of incidents related to embattled Boeing over the past year. In January, an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9's door plug blew off in midair, leading to the grounding of all 171 MAX 9 jets by the FAA and instigating an investigation.
Yes, we are emergency. We are depressurized. We do need to return back to. We have 177 passengers. Fuel is 18.8.
Soon afterwards, at least 4 people came forward, including both of the now dead whistleblowers, to allege that corner cutting in the jet's manufacturing process was causing safety risks. In the wake of the chaos, Dave Calhoun, Boeing CEO, announced in March that he would step down at the end of the year. Boeing reported a $355 million net loss for the first quarter of 2024. He said that, quote, serious and gross misconduct by senior quality management of the 737 production line, unquote, had taken place at Spirit in a complaint to the Federal Aviation Administration. He also testified in a shareholder lawsuit against Spirit Aerosystems filed in December 2023. The shareholders alleged that Spirit, quote, concealed from various investors that Spirit suffered from widespread and sustained quality failures, unquote, and that quality failures occurred because the company was chasing profits. In January, Dean told Wall Street Journal that he had been fired for pointing out that holes in the jet fuselage had been drilled wrong. He was fired from Spirit Aerosystems in April 2023, and he had complained later that his termination was in retaliation. Dean is the second whistleblower to die this year after coming forward about safety issues in the aviation manufacturing industry. Boeing whistleblower John Barnett, aged 62, was found dead in his truck in a hotel parking lot in South Carolina in March. Barnett had spoken out about all alleged safety problems at Boeing and had given evidence in a lawsuit against the company prior to his death. Barnett alleged that Boeing intentionally used defective parts in its planes and warned that passengers on its 787 Dreamliner might face a lack of oxygen if a sudden decompression occurred. Barnett was a former quality control engineer and spent 32 years at Boeing until his retirement for health reasons in March 2017. Barnett gave his initial testimony just days before he was found dead in March at a hotel in Charleston. His death appeared to be from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Under the leadership of Ramesh Mendes, the Galle team emerged victorious in the highly anticipated 2024 National Super League 4-day cricket tournament in Galle, and they secured a convincing victory, defeating Kandy by 7 wickets.
In the high-octane final match at Pallekele International Cricket Stadium, the Kandy team took the crease first, posting a formidable total of 316 runs in their opening innings. Sitara Gimhan's impressive 90 runs added to their commanding score. Undeterred, the Galle team stepped up to the challenge, responding with a valiant 304 runs in their reply innings. Kandy faced a formidable bowling attack in their second innings and was eventually bowled out for a modest 163 runs. With a target of 176 runs to secure victory, the Galle team won the game, losing only 3 wickets.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Take care and good night.